Hello and welcome back to my food channel. I've got a very special surprise for you guys today. I'm going to show you and produce a little tutorial over how to make one of the most celebrated Italian pasta dishes. I'm sure you're very familiar with it, especially if you've been to Italy. It's very commonly found on any menu in any restaurants around the country, and it is linguine alle vongole in rosso, being linguine alle vongole clams. Linguine in rosso is in a red sauce with tomatoes. And you can have it linguine alle vongole in bianco, being in bianco in a white sauce without tomatoes. But what I'm going to show you today is how to make it with pomodorini pachini della Sicilia, so Sicilian Pachini tomatoes, which are incredibly fragrant and full of flavour. So follow me to the kitchen, and we can't do this outdoors. We're going to do it in the kitchen, and I will show you how to do it. Just follow me. We'll do it together. And welcome to my kitchen, guys, at last. It's not a particularly large kitchen. As you can see, I haven't got one of those beautiful islands in the middle of it, which would help with the presentation of cooking food. But nonetheless, I've prepared all of the ingredients that I will be using to make linguine alle vongole on my kitchen top. The saucepan is still off, but the pot where I'll be boiling the pasta, actually this linguine, is already on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my camera on a tripod in a fixed position, just so that I can run through all of the ingredients that I prepared to make this sauce. Give me a second and I'll be back shortly. I'm ready for this, but let me guide you through the few ingredients that I'll be using for this dish. I can start with the garlic. Now, I'm sure a lot of you might think that garlic heads, or garlic knobs as they're called, are all the same. You'll now be pleased to know that they're actually not, and that there are two main types of garlic: soft neck and hard neck garlic. The hard neck garlic can be recognized by this little woody stalk in the middle. This is a French garlic, this is a Spanish garlic, and I've got a Chinese sample here. This is a soft neck garlic. I tend to prefer to use hard neck garlic because it's a bit more pungent, a little bit more spicy and hotter than the soft neck garlic, and I think it matches this pasta sauce perfectly. And then we can talk about the chili. Some people prefer to use dried chili flakes, which is fine, but I find that these are a little bit too overpowering in a pasta sauce that's meant to produce a delicate seafood flavour. And always pick some mild, fresh chilies. You'll probably see in supermarkets that you find green and red chilies for sale. I tend to go for the red ones as they add a touch of colour and they appear to be more visually attractive in your final product. So if you're needing to impress your guests, these are pre-chopped. I've just chopped them to get everything ready for the sauce, but there you go, that's the red chilies. We can talk about the anchovies. Here we go, these are the ones that I've used, anchovy fillets. You could substitute these anchovies with anchovies paste, but I tend to use a couple, 2 or 3 anchovies in olive oil to enhance the seafood taste of this linguine in vongole sauce, cutting down on the amount of salt. Anchovies, as you know, tend to be quite salty on their own. And then we can talk about tomatoes. As I said earlier on, this traditional Italian dish can be served in bianco, and that's without tomatoes, or in rosso, which means in red. And you would have to use a small amount of tomatoes. Let me show you. What I tend to use is Sicilian pomodorini pachini. They've got so much flavour and slightly sweet. You can't find them in all supermarkets, I have to say. It's a little bit tricky, but you can substitute these with sugar drops tomatoes, which are a lot more commonly stocked in supermarkets, at least here in Britain. The pomodorini pachini are actually from Sicily, and they really are full of flavour, and they are my favourite for this sauce. We can talk about parsley. Again, make sure that you purchase the flat leaf variety and select the right ingredient, because too often cilantro is sold and labelled as parsley, but it tastes different. You know, it's got a sort of lemony. It's more suitable for Asian dishes, I would say. And just remember, if you look closely at the parsley leaves, this has gone slightly soft because I've chopped it a while ago, you will notice that the serrations of the leaf are pointy. Now the cilantro leaves instead are rounded and lacy, and so you want to make sure that you actually get parsley because this is what goes into this particular sauce. And then we can talk about clams. You can use fresh or frozen clams, bearing in mind that frozen clams are actually alive. As a nature, clams do go into hibernation, and as you thaw a pack of frozen clams, they'll spring back to life and basically be as good as the fresh ones. Today I'll be using some Vietnamese clams. They are very tasty, but they are pre-cooked. I believe they've been steamed and then frozen, ready for transport to the UK. I used to have a trusted fishmonger, I believe his name was O'Driscoll's, here in Windsor, where I could get fresh clams, but I think he's had enough of the stench of fish, and so after 30 plus years he decided to close his shop. Waitrose is where I get my clams generally. It is a high-end British supermarket, and yeah, I basically get them there, and they taste just as good as fresh clams. The only thing that you're missing out on is when you put them into the hot oil, they don't open up, which is a good indication actually that the clams are fresh. But I've used these time and time again. The company is called Big and Juicy. I just read it on the box, and they've been fine. Pasta, we can talk about Linguine. I use these ones, or there's other very good brands. Now you will notice that it says trafilate al bronzo. What that means is that the pasta has been extruded through bronze machinery, so it is a little bit rougher. And I tend to purchase a good quality pack of bronze drawn and slow dried linguine because it collects the sauce better at the time you stir the pasta into the sauce. And you can actually tell, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but no, you can't, because it's, here we go. Well, to the touch, if you were to run your fingers, it is quite rough. And so this pasta is absolutely perfect. Try not to buy Teflon drawn pasta because it's got a slick surface, and it really doesn't absorb the sauce as nicely as bronze dye pasta. So this is what I go for. When it comes to wine, you will need a little. Let me show you. I've poured it. It's like a half a glass, I would say, of wine. I don't know if you can see it. Here we go. Don't waste the glass of Pouligny Montrachet for the cooking unless you have billions in the bank. Just use a good quality white wine. You can drink the rest, of course. And yeah, what else are we going to talk about? Olive oil. Like I said, for the pizza, I tend to use some good quality extra virgin olive oil, but it's commercial olive oil. In fact, I've poured it into this little bottle that I bought in Limone sul Garda, beautiful place, by the way. But that's a commercial olive oil. And then for the final drizzle, I will use instead really high-end extra virgin olive oil, which has got an incredible flavour. Pepper, black peppercorn, obviously you will need some of that towards the end. And I think we've pretty much covered everything. Now, let me turn the stand of the camera towards the pan and I will start the cooking. It won't take very long because it takes a pretty short time to prepare this sauce. And that's it, the pan is on a low heat. So make sure it's a low heat because the garlic otherwise cooks like really quickly, and then it starts turning dark brown, and it's not very good because it makes the olive oil taste really bitter. So I would start with 3 garlic cloves, which I've crushed with a knife blade on a chopping board. And I've also added some fresh chili into the sauce. Now, like I said, for the pizza preparation, some people are actually okay with garlic. Sometimes I use a little fresh garlic puree or finely chopped garlic, and I just leave it into the sauce. Today, what I've done is just use 3 crushed garlic cloves, which I am going to remove. Now, this is sizzling. So what I'm going to do at this stage is use the little white wine. This is Viognier wine. And what the white wine does is it prevents the garlic from burning and from taking a really bitter taste. So we can now maybe increase the flame underneath. Here we go, a little bit. And you let it cook for like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, bring it to boil. The wine will start steaming, basically just as me after I've gone through the bottle, but here we go. Let's let this a couple of minutes. That's it, it's sizzling away beautifully. What we can do at this stage, we can actually introduce the anchovies in oil. Here we go, and you will see that they will kind of melt away and disintegrate into the pan as if you were using the anchovies paste. Anchovies paste is actually a little bit cheaper, probably because of the way they produce it. So these have started to break off, and you will need a lot less salt to complete this recipe because these anchovies are actually quite salty on their own. So this is smelling beautiful. I have my fan extractor off just to prevent that it makes a lot of noise. So I can tell you I'm smelling all of this. It's beautiful. Like I said, for the pizza, I'd rather smell this than Chanel No. 5. But here we go. Let's give it a nice mix. That's it. We'll give this one maybe like 2-3 minutes. And then what I suggest you do, especially if you've got guests that are a little bit, I'm not going to say allergic, but sort of intolerant to garlic, remove the garlic cloves after they've given taste to the extra virgin olive oil at the beginning of the cooking process, and just throw them away basically. And like I said, the hard-neck garlic is actually quite pungent. It's got quite a strong flavour, so you don't want to leave perhaps this one in permanently until the end, especially when it's in big chunks like this. That wouldn't be very nice. If it's in a garlic puree, perhaps, but yeah, certainly not like this. So that's it. It hasn't gone brown, as you can see. What I'm going to do, these chef's tongs are actually very useful to do this kind of job. I only just recently got them because, as I said to you in a previous video, I am not a professionally trained chef, but I have had this passion for cooking for an incredibly long time, and just discovering things. Here we go. And watching a lot of tutorials, like the one that you're watching now. I've learned a lot of tricks and tried and tested so many different recipes. The only course I've ever, let me lower the heat. Here we go. Yeah, the only, we can put the clams in at this stage. So there's still a tiny little bit of wine that needs to evaporate there. Here we go. As I was saying earlier on, you can see that the clams are opened. So as I was rinsing them and they were thawing from the packaging, they were opening up. But they look incredibly fresh. I have used this clams time and time again. Let me show you. Here we go. They're very, very tasty. They wouldn't affect the flavour at all. Of course, so this is closed. I'm going to keep a very watchful eye on this one. If it doesn't open, then it's perhaps an indication that it's not super fresh, and I'm going to remove it. No, it is. But I can tell that the shell has split. So I'm going to keep a really, that's it. Here we go. Be really careful about these things, because the last thing you want to avoid is a run to the dentist after a beautiful bowl of linguine with vongole. So make sure, actually, and make sure that all of the, this one is opening as well, I'm quite happy with that. Make sure that all of the shells open up. I very, very rarely find sand in these ones. I find that they are very good quality. I can put this one away now and just use this wooden spoon. And you just turn them around like this. Yes, as I was saying earlier on, the only cookery course I ever did is actually one with the Blue Elephant Cookery School in Bangkok to learn how to cook Thai food. And that was quite interesting, quite fascinating. I did love it because I signed up to the week-long course, and what that includes is a guide is a tour guide of a fresh food market led by the head chef or one of the chefs that work for the school, and they do teach you to how to choose the freshest ingredients. So even though, I mean, with tomatoes, there's hundreds of varieties of tomatoes, and parsley, again, I tend to buy Italian parsley for this dish. And you really want to get it right. You don't want to get the wrong ingredients, because it will affect the final flavor of your dish. So what I would suggest you do at this stage, you start getting the pasta in, because it won't be long before this is done. So here we go. My pot with boiling hot water is just here. Just going to chuck it. Unfortunately, I can't show you. I need to get a cameraman. Here we go. That's what we've got today. That's what we've got to do with. So this we can move. The other tip that I can give you is that the tidier your kitchen top is, the more pleasurable the cooking experience will be. If you have a messy kitchen, you don't prep your ingredients prior to cooking, you'll start hating it. So why doing so? This cooking is fun, and it has to remain as fun. So here we go. I love the sound of this. It's just like clink, clink, clink. It's very fresh. You let them cook for about, I would say, to play safe, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, slightly longer. Shellfish is known to be quite a dangerous, if you like, ingredient, lethal I would call it, because that's perhaps one of the reasons why I buy cooked or steamed clams. I mean, if you know your fishmonger and you know that he's 100% knowledgeable about what he sells or she sells, then that's fine, you know, go with the trust. But you have to be very, very careful with shellfish. Oh, there we go. You know what? I've got some really good eyesight at the moment because I'm wearing my glasses, but I can just see at the bottom of the pan another little splinter. See how useful these chef's tongs are. That's it. So let's get this away. And that's it. It's not long before we can add the tomato sauce and start plating the linguine with vongole. What we're going to do in the meantime, I will just turn, grab a cloth, I will just turn the linguine in the pot. I've timed it. We're talking about 12 minutes with this particular type of pasta. I like to do it al dente, as I was explaining earlier on. In most Italian restaurants, you don't even have to ask, they'll just do it for you. So, got about maybe 8 minutes to go, which is great, good timing. So get all of your ingredients ready. You know, we'll transfer the pasta straight from the pot, which is next to the pan, the saucepan, from the pot straight into the saucepan, and then mix it in there. I won't be like, what do you call it, stirring the pasta by shaking the pan, because I bought this pan. It's beautiful. It's an all-clad pan. I bought this pan in America. It's an incredible brand, all-clad, and they are so heavy they'll last you a lifetime. They're quite expensive in Europe, although we do have a substitute for pans called Fissler from Germany. Very good, 1810 steel, and I believe the Spaniards produce very good steel pans. What's this? Sorry, this other little bit of shell has caught my eye. I don't want to injure anybody. Here we go, you can see it. Let's remove this, and I think it's all out now. And this is the time, I can see they're very nicely done, when we can add our tomatoes. So you don't want to overcook the tomatoes, because the flavor of the Pachini is incredibly delicate. It really tastes these old tomatoes. Nothing like those tomatoes you can buy from you know, greenhouses, plants that have been grown in greenhouses around Northern Europe where you hardly get any sun. So if you live in California, or you live in, I don't know if in the Far East they grow tomatoes. Probably not. I don't recall seeing them or seeing good quality tomatoes in supermarket shelves in Bangkok, Hong Kong, or anything like that. They'll probably get there because they've got nice hot weather. Let me just increase the flame a tiny bit. Actually, no need. I can see that it's good. I'll have another sip of wine because I'm spending this beautiful time with you guys. Cheers. And this is smelling absolutely beautiful. What I tend to do as well at some point in the cooking is add a little bit of the parsley. I would say quite a generous pinch of parsley into the sauce, and then obviously I will retain a little bit of finely chopped parsley to decorate the plate, and then I will also do the same. Here we go, that's it. Adding the extra virgin olive oil at the very end and the black pepper. In fact, we can add a tiny little bit of black pepper during the cooking, but not too much. That's it. And then we finish off after we plate. I'm just going to get my pasta bowls because as soon as I'll have finished filming this, I will go straight out. Now I'm doing quite a large amount of pasta because I'm terribly hungry, and let me put these back. Here we go. And I bought these. I mean, if you were to serve these in really fancy wedged bone china plates, you're going to have to plate them in a bit of an elegant style. You would try and remove most of the shells, take the clam out, and just keep maybe 6 or 8 shells, and you decorate the plate with the shells at the very end. What I'm going to use today, because I'm going to get this ready and then go and eat out in the garden, is use these traditional trattoria or osteria pasta bowls. They're massive, absolutely enormous. I bought these at Crate and Barrel in New York, and you can imagine, you know, as I said before, every time I've traveled around the world I come back home with either ingredients or utensils for cooking, and they are absolutely beautiful, and they do contain a hell of a lot of pasta because it is going to be a main meal. So that's it. We're not far from shifting. It's a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to bore you with this whole process. I'm going to add a little bit of parsley. I'm going to zoom into this dish, and then the final maybe 2-3 minutes I will finish it off. I will finish the cooking off, transfer the pasta over, and then record a last final clip to show you how it looks like once it's plated, or maybe actually as I turn the pasta into it. So give us a second. I don't want to bore you too long because it does take another couple of minutes in there. All right then, I'll be right back. So can you smell it, guys? The pasta is ready, the sauce is ready, the pasta is ready, and I am going now to drain. Got this amazing pasta pot. Here we go. I'm about to drain our linguine into the sauce. Bring the temperature, the fire underneath. We're using an electric hob, obviously it'll be increasing, a matter of increasing that, and then I am going to give these linguine a really good stir, I would say for a good couple of minutes. So if you see cooking time 12 minutes on the packaging, or 9 minutes depending on what type and sort of make and pasta producer you buy, you fancy, and if they say 9 minutes, try and cook it for 8. And this one that I've used today was saying 12 minutes cooking time for al dente. There you go. So what I tend to do, I tend to take a minute or two away from the cooking time, because the pasta will not be 100% cooked. I'd say about 90% cooked, but then you keep it in the pan for another minute or two, and the cooking process will actually complete in the pan with the sauce, and pasta will absorb the sauce better. That's it. At this stage we can add some extra fresh parsley, and then we keep a tiny little bit to add into the bowls. I mean, you can see the beauty of this pasta. It's incredible, sizzling away. So yeah, make sure that the sauce is well spread. The pasta has absorbed all this Pachini tomato juice, clam sauce, and the anchovies. And we are very nearly ready to plate this into our traditional osteria bowls. Oh my god, the smell, the perfume, you won't believe. This is incredible. So that's it, that's us done. Let me grab, that's it. Let me grab, switch the fires off under the water bowl, and I will take this and just start serving it into our massive bowls. Let me just shift the camera a little bit so you can see better what I'm doing. It's a bloody nightmare not having a cameraman, I have to say, but we're getting there. That's that. How beautiful. So this was about god, it's quite a large amount, 300 grams of pasta for 2 people, and that is a substantial amount, I have to say. But it is a main course, so it's not like a first course. That's it, that's one dish done. What you want to do, you want to add a tiny little bit of parsley on top, crush some fresh black pepper on it. That's it. And then use really good quality olive oil, and you're good with a generous drizzle. And that's it, that's one of the 2 plates done. Let me show you how it looks like. Here we go. Isn't it amazing? You won't believe the perfume in this kitchen. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to love you and leave you at this stage, because my dinner is ready. My wine's nearly finished, so I'm going to have to open another bottle, and then but we will catch up with another video very soon. I'm thinking rosemary focaccia next time, but I will let you know. You take care of yourselves, you keep safe, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.